You are a military man. Obviously, this had to hit very close to home for you.
Without a question. As I was saying, in my mind, what came up with the military families, I had been explaining that only less than one-third of 1% of our nation's families have actually carried the burden of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And in particular, those at Fort Hood have seen their family members deploy time after time. It's actually been deployed more often in more stressful situations for longer periods of time than any other force in our nation's history. And then to have this happen here on their home base, the president's comments were correct. It's awful, this tragedy. That said, I also believe that we have to step back and better assess and look at indicators that tend to be the worst illness we have in America, and that's mental health. I don't know if that's what caused this individual, obviously something that drove him, but I also know that our members coming home, 20% have post-traumatic stress disorder. And as we kick veterans to the side of the curb back in Vietnam, we're doing much better now, but more needs to be done for our military and our military members, families.
What do you propose? What would you like to see done?
What I'd like to do is, first off, and I went to the VA in Philadelphia for 4 times between December and February of this past year to meet with a mental health specialist, because post-traumatic stress disorder, as well often associated with traumatic brain injuries, are the signature injuries of this war. Knowing that we have so many that are affected, because these soldiers are going outside the wire every day, 7 days a week for 15 months, coming home for 12, going back for 15. It's unremitting. I've seen that since 2005, when we used to have one mental or behavioral expert forward deployed with our troops for every 350. Now, just 4 years later, it's one for every 750. Why are we decreasing it when the challenge is even more? Number 2 is, since we know 20% come home with PTSD or something strongly associated with that type of mental challenge, if we had 20% coming home with kidney disease, we would have kidney disease specialists taking care of them. But right now, when they come home, they fill out a self-referral form. And I know it's still, unfortunately, a closet illness, but we could do this in confidence and, off base or something, so that we do meet members as they come home and work with their families more. We have allocated $10 billion since I've been in Congress these last 2 years towards the mental health of our soldiers and sailors and Marines coming home and our veterans who are out of the service. But how well are we doing with that money? It's why I met with those mental health specialists, because often they want to seek treatment in their communities, not necessarily going downtown Philadelphia or somewhere to be at the VA. So those are 2 places where we can do better overseas and better here at home, that we're just not doing a self-referral form and having somebody call up 60 or 90 days later, how are you? But we're actually having some experts in confidence sit down with them to help and their families then move along.
Okay, Congressman, thank you very much for joining us today. And it's obviously a sad day for the United States and for all of those who are associated with the military. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Earl. And can I end with just saying we've never had a better generation of soldiers. They're wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Congressman Joe Sestak, a 3-star admiral and Iraq War veteran. He's the highest-ranking former member of the military who's a member of Congress.